Hey everyone, it's Jarrett. This is a quick, I've tried to make this video a few times now. I've had too much footage, not enough footage. It's a review of the Gaahleri Mobius 0.3 millimeter airbrush, which I will show you in a minute, I promise. I was saying it Gaahleri before, and I've heard other people say it that way, and that sounds like a fine Italian wine or something, but I actually asked them, and it's Gaahleri. So, and when I've communicated with them, if their brand team is anything like their customer service team, really nice people, very polite and friendly and communicative and just really good. And I can tell they're doing a really big push to try and get their airbrushes out there on the market because they have a good product and they have a good price. And now they just have to get the awareness up. So they're sending out. I did receive my airbrush for free. Before I do that, I want to show this airbrush to give you context because this airbrush is my workhorse. I've been an Iwata guy. You can see it's been through a lot of work. I've been an Iwata guy for years. I use the Eclipse HPCS as really my workhorse, and I do almost everything with it. It's a great airbrush. It's about 225 Canadian. I want to say it may be a little more, maybe a little less, but it's in that ballpark. So it's not really the $20 starter airbrush off Amazon, which I don't really recommend, and it's not a low end. It's kind of mid-range, but it's definitely high end of the mid-range in terms of price. But I've always been very, very happy with it. It has a 0.35 millimeter nozzle, which I think is just right. And I told Gaahleri when they were going to send me one out, I said 0.3, 0.35 is kind of my sweet spot. I find bigger nozzles, that's maybe good for priming, but it's not great for like fine detail. And also too small, like a 0.2, which the Mobius comes in, can be kind of a little cloggy, and really you have to be quite good at thinning your paints properly to not get clogs at a 0.2. So this is my comparison point. This is the airbrush I use a lot. Now, like I said, they sent me the Mobius for free. It is about, I want to say like $90 US or so. But there are a lot of sales, and I have a discount code, the Mini Junkie, that if you want to use my affiliate link below or your discount code, you can get 10%. When they send you this airbrush, it's shrink wrapped and not splattered with paint. I wanted to leave that on there to show you I have in fact been using it for about 2 weeks. And in my workspace, that means stuff gets paint on it. So the 0.3 millimeter comes nicely packaged, and you get in the box, in addition to a nice message and some links for support and whatnot, you get some spare O-rings, some lubricant, a cap or a needle cap, sorry. You get a paint cup cap, which I do not ever use these. I'm just find I'm always switching my paint too quickly to bother, and it doesn't like go flying out of my cup ever, so I don't use those, but every airbrush comes with one, so does this one. And they give you a quick start guide, which is really good. Literally start airbrushing, connect your air compressor, add your paint and thinner, some of the different adjustments. It's a dual action, obviously, so you push down for air, you pull back for paint. There's quite a few adjustments. Oh, I know. Let's actually show you the airbrush. I got a new compressor, so it's kind of lying off to the side, and I forgot it. It's a really nice looking airbrush. Like, if that matters to you, which I don't know if it really does because it's a tool, but it's not like, your paintbrushes need to look gorgeous. It's a nice looking airbrush, and it's got a lot of nice features on it, some of which I use, some I don't. The 0.2 actually comes with a, I think it's called a MAC valve for pressure adjustments. The 0.3 does not. Couldn't say why for sure. The cup is removable. It's a decent size one, and it's got, here's the trigger, dual action. This is interesting. It's a knob for adjusting the tension of the trigger, which I'll admit when I adjusted it, I couldn't really find the difference. So I don't know. That's a neat touch, but not a must-have in my opinion. This is cool. It's a needle limiter, so that, if you dial this in, you can make it so you can't pull the needle back quite as far if you need more control. And I've had to actually, I was like, oh, I'm never going to use that. And then I used it like a few minutes later as I was airbrushing this Sons of Medusa kill team you see in the background. Speaking of which, I won't show a whole bunch of like, oh, look, you can spray nicely with it. Like, it does. You can take my word for it. I've been airbrushing for like 30 years. So it has a nice spray. nice atomization, good flow, not a lot of clogging, well, none so far. Obviously, I take this off most of the time when I'm airbrushing, which creates a little bit of risk for your needle, but I like it because I can see exactly where I'm going to get the paint and like kind of get closer. And then, unlike in the past, I think I'll actually put it back on when I'm not using my airbrush. Um, any downsides? I do like the Iwata cup design better. I like that the cup is built on the Iwata right into the body, so that when I'm adding paint, I'm adding it right to the needle area. This one, because of the screw-on design, you can see how it kind of goes down a little deeper in there, and that's fine. I mean, it's not terrible or nothing, but or nothing. I sound like a hick. It's not terrible, but I do like the built-in a little bit better. And I sometimes when I'm cleaning it, I'll actually start to unscrew it by accident, which I don't like. So I want to keep it nice and tight. I guess if you want to switch paint cup sizes, that's what it's for, or for cleaning. But it's fine. I mean, I've been using it, and I've kept it clean and everything. This part, so I think I'm just talking about things I don't like as much, but I'm still super impressed. This I think is because this little joint here is to access the valves and things for either cleaning or replacement. But when I've been trying to screw on or unscrew my airbrush hose as I've been messing with my compressor, I keep accidentally unscrewing this whole thing, and really not a big deal. But another interesting thing that I got used to pretty quick is this flat part right here. Kind of nice. At first I was like, I don't need that either, but actually it's kind of nice. And your thumb rests against that flat surface instead of the rounded surface. What else? I didn't like the trigger at first. I was thinking, oh, I like the rounded Iwata one a little better. It's a little nicer on the thumb, etc. But again, I think it's really just a matter of having gotten used to it, because now I don't notice it and I like it just fine. It's got a little bit of grittiness, obviously, for pulling the trigger back. When I had to clean it, came apart nice and easy. To lube the needle, just took it apart, put it back together with the lube on the needle. That was just fine. What else can we say about an airbrush? It's just seems really well made. Their customer support or communications have been great. Spare parts are available. I checked with them to make sure, like, if that's an important consideration. If you just buy some random airbrush that's not really from a brand, you could find yourself having trouble finding valves or nozzles, or not valves really, nozzles and needles are the main thing. No problem getting them for the Gaahleri airbrushes, same with the Wata and whatnot, so that's not a problem. Really, I think the big thing for this is the pricing. Like I said, this is like under 100 US, and I've noticed they're frequently, you can get about 15% off, you can get 10% off, and you can, for the price, I don't see any reason to buy something kind of like no name or cheaper or crappier, because this is a really nice airbrush, even for someone who's been doing it for a long time. Like, I'm not going to use my Iwata for a while. I think I'm going to stick with the Mobius and see if this is my new go-to, and I think so far it is. To give you a sense of the quality, in terms of like, this is airbrush. I've also been using my main brush for some edge highlighting since. You can see there's a mistake right there, but it's got good atomization. I'm getting nice blends from the airbrush. This is all coated with the airbrush, nice and smooth. Few quick tips on why you should get an airbrush and never look back. And maybe Gaahleri and the Mobius or a similar one of their other models is the right choice. Is you can do more. Often you think about it and you think, oh, priming and base coating and stuff, that's fine. But if you think about all the different colors of primer you can use so quickly and easily, you don't have to have all these spray cans. And a bottle like this will last for a very long time. This is like not a very expensive bottle. And I airbrush basically always with Vallejo surface primer, no thinning, and it just lasts and lasts and lasts and goes on really smooth. Doesn't hide details. There's no risk of clogging details with too much spray. I almost never touch rattle cans of any kind ever, because airbrush is so much better. And you can even, like, like what I do is sometimes I'll prime, you know, you get zenithal highlighting. You can do that obviously with your airbrush, but you can do it with different colors. You can prime certain parts of your mini a different color because you have a lot of that control. There's priming, and even almost bigger in my opinion is varnishing. God knows a few times in the past I've had rattle can varnishes that will leave frosting on my mini and wreck the paint job, and it's a real pain in the ass to fix. I won't touch a spray can varnish anymore. Maybe for terrain, obviously. In fact, terrain is a different story, but so you can get matte, you can get gloss, you can get satin, and you can put on a lovely varnish coat with no fear that goes on nice and smooth. And what's cool is, you know, when you're, let's say I'm going to be doing decals, for example, you can varnish like really individual parts of your mini. So sometimes I might have painted the metallics and I don't want to dull them down with matte varnish. And I have a decal over here that generally after decals you want a matte varnish because you want to get rid of the shininess of it. You know, you come in with your airbrush and you can just matte varnish the shoulder. Like you can have so much control. That's what I just love about airbrushing. And in addition to speed, is all the different tricks. When with my death guard that I posted recently on Instagram and stuff, they often get, well, they all get, the green gets a yellow game ink glaze, and it just goes on so smooth, right? Like I can just get the whole mini very quickly with a nice smooth glaze of this game ink. Whereas with the brush, and a few times I've tried it, like it's so easy to accidentally can kind of start to get some brush strokes in it if it starts to dry or pooling or whatever. So again, airbrushing. I'm trying to think of what other things oh, you can also be really precise. Like again, you often will think of, you know, base coating the whole base coating the whole mini with your airbrush. But, and I don't have one in front of me at the moment, but maybe I'll have footage. I've actually base coated the little faces on Cadian troops, like their little faces in their helmets, with a bit of white paint so that I could use my speed paints on those faces to do the flesh quickly. Because let's say I was doing 30, you can be that precise with like a dot 3 or, you know, obviously dot 2, but a dot 3 you can be that precise and have that small of a flow to base coat really small areas. And because sometimes like certain colors, let's say I prime the whole guy black, and flesh can be hard to paint over black, so you can do that sort of like white priming in those little spots. Now this is turning into an airbrush tips video, but my main point is when you think about the possibility of getting a new airbrush or getting into airbrushing, think beyond priming and varnishing. Like it's a tool, it's a brush, it's it can do a lot. It blows air and paint. Like it can do, oh, and that's another thing. You can use it to quickly dry coats of paint you've laid down, or even you know, the varnish and stuff. You just use the air. So that's cool. And I got a new okay, it's under the desk, but I got a new compressor when I got this, and paid for it by the way, off Amazon. It's a TimberTech AS186. It's kind of a, I want to say it's a low end. It's a very popular airbrush because, or compressor, because a lot of people have them. That was like 100 Canadian, and that wasn't even on sale. So for 100 Canadian, and it's doing great by the way. So it has a gauge and a pressure regulator and all that stuff, and tank. 100 bucks, and then like 100 Canadian probably after discounts for this. So for 200 bucks, you're into airbrushing, and that's going to last you for years. Like airbrushing is a game changer in terms of your hobby. Like you don't buy it and then it's done after a month. Like it will be your new tool for 200 bucks for the remainder of your hobbying. Your army painting will be so much better and faster. It is not, I don't wear tons of protective gear. I don't wear a mask unless I'm doing solvent based stuff, which is almost never. I don't clean and disassemble the airbrush every time. It's not as hard or as daunting as you think. And so I'd encourage you to get into it. And if you do get into it, I do recommend the Gaahleri airbrushes. Having used it for a while, at this price with discount codes, it's a great starter, or a great addition if you have started with something cheap and you want to move up to something kind of mid-level. All right, if you have questions, feel free to share them in the comments below and I'll definitely answer, as long as it hasn't been like 2 years. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.